Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters. I'm your host, Mitch. Glad to have you here. Now, normally we do budget deck techs on this channel, but today we're going to be showcasing an episode from a new and upcoming channel. And this channel is a part of our Creators Quarters initiative. The goal of this initiative is to help aspiring content creators get started and to produce some high-quality content for the Magic community. These channels are just getting started, so I'd appreciate if you watched their episode and gave them feedback on what you liked and what maybe could be improved. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you go to their channel page and like the episode there too. Also, make sure you subscribe to their channel and share it with some friends. Every little bit helps when you're starting out. Alright, that's enough talking for me now. Without further ado, here's MTG Tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, from an undisclosed location in Portland, Oregon, the spare bedroom, it's time for MTG Tonight with your host, Jake Boss.
Tonight on the program, I'm joined by Matt Ricker once again, and we're going to be doing some play testing with his Nicol Bolas Vorthos deck, which is cool as hell because we got War of the Spark coming up. We're going to get into that later. But first, please welcome to the magic of television, Matt Ricker, who was already here because I was talking to you just now. But that's how VFX works. You know, you got to remember. But let's get right into it. Let's let the deck speak for itself. Start us off.
Turn 1 Badlands, tap, Soul Ring. We'll pass 2. I'm not going to use that. I'm just showing.
No Soul Ring, Highland Lake, tap, pass turn.
Untap, draw a card. Shock, Watery Grave. Yeah, you do that. Let's go 3 Chromatic Lantern, and land for Nightscape Familiar.
What is that?
Blue and red spells that you cast cost 1 generic less to cast. It's a 1/1, and you can pay 2 mana and regenerate it.
Okay, so this is basically the nut draw for your deck. And I didn't cut your deck to start off.
I drew this card.
Are you cheating? Anyway, I'm going to untap my 1 tapped cheap dual land, draw my card. Great Furnace. Is it Signet? Pass the turn.
Untap. Draw a card. 4 and play Stolen Strategy. It's a card from Battle Bond. Enchantment. At the beginning of my upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library, and until the end of turn, I can cast non-land cards from among those, and I can spend mana as over any color.
Sweet.
So this deck likes to play off my opponent's decks.
Okay, and like the Nicol Bolas Planeswalkers like that too. Anyway, can I go or?
I'll attack you for 1.
I'm going to take 1 to the face. I'm at 39.
I'll pass to you.
Tap.
39. You're still winning.
Spire of Industry. Padim, Console of Innovation. Artifacts I control have hexproof. At the beginning of my upkeep, if I control the artifact with the highest converted mana cost or tied, I draw a card. Pass the turn.
Untap. Draw a card. During the upkeep, exile the top card of your deck.
Mirror works.
Alright, well, so I don't know if I'm going to play that. Whenever another non-token artifact enters play, no, I'm not going to play that. 5, and play Croesus the Purger.
What does that do?
Flying 6/6. Whenever Croesus the Purger deals combat damage to a player, I can pay 2 colorless, 1 black. And if I do, I choose a color, and that player reveals their hand and discards all cards of that color.
Yikes. Okay.
I'll swing for 1.
Is that on the ground?
Yeah.
I'll block.
Sure, it'll die. I'm not good at this game.
Okay, anything else?
No, pass.
Alright, highest converted mana cost on my upkeep is 2. What do you got? You got Chromatic Lantern.
Yeah.
Drat. Draw a card. Command Tower. Goblin Welder. Swiftfoot Boots. And pass the turn.
Untap. Exile the top of your library, please.
Top card, Echo Storm. It creates a copy of tokens for the amount of times I cast my commander. Well, +1.
+1. 4. 2 black, 2 colorless, and play Mind Slicer. Mind Slicer is a 4/3 from way back when, and when it's put into the graveyard from play, each player discards their hand. And I will attack you with Croesus the Purger.
You have mana up for it?
I do not.
Alright,
It's 6/6.
I'll take it.
Alright.
I'm at 39, or 33.
Your go.
Untap, on upkeep, I got 2. You beat me there. Alright. 6 mana. I'm going to play Dreamstone Hedron.
Good card.
Yeah, and then pass the turn.
Untap. Upkeep. Exile the top of your deck.
Top card, Felden of the Third Path. Creates tokens of things in my grave.
Glad to see him gone. I'm going to play Croesus' Catacombs and return Badlands to my hand for its layer trigger. It's a old land from Plane Shift, one of the layers, an uncompleted cycle of lands. It creates all 3 Grixis, and when it comes into play, you sacrifice it unless you return a non-layer card to your hand.
Okay, so a card like this, though, is perfect for a player like you who would play an actual Elder Dragon in EDH. Mm-hmm. So why is this better than a Rainbow Land in any way?
Well, it's specifically Grixis. It's uncommon. I had them laying around.
Okay.
It's also thematic.
It's like thematic and Vorthosy for you. All right, where were we? Is it my turn yet?
It is not. I'm going to go ahead and attack you with Croesus with mana available.
With mana up, and I'm going to have to discard my hand?
I choose a color if I pay.
Okay.
You only have 2 cards in hand, so...
Yeah, no, I accept.
All right. I'm not going to pay.
No.
So you're going to take the 6.
All right, I go down to 27.
I will pass to you.
On top, draw. Drop an island. And I will cast my commander, which is Brutaclad, Telcor Engineer. Creature tokens I control have haste. At the beginning of combat on my turn, I create a 2/1 mirror.
I will play Aether Snatch.
Which does what?
Gain control of that spell.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop reading the card then. There you go. There's your Brutaclad. Hope you enjoy it.
I will.
I'm not even going to give you the tokens. I'm not even going to VFX them in. I'm going to make you keep track of them somehow.
At the beginning of combat on my turn, I create a blue card. I don't think I have those tokens with me.
Cast Genesis Chamber, even though the line of play should have been moved around. And then I'll put Swiftfoot Boots on Padim. Now, artifacts I control have hexproof, and he has hexproof and haste.
Yeah, so good.
Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if this is untapped, you create a 1/1 mirror. That's all I've got. I'm going to pass the turn with a crappy board.
I will untap, draw a card. I will play Badlands again. I will move to combat and swing with Croesus the Purger and Brutaclad, and I will create the token.
Yeah, there you go.
And I will not attack with the token.
All right, leaving the token behind.
Oh, and during your upkeep, can you exile the top?
Oh,
that's out
word,
of order. But
Blasphemous Act, that's great.
don't really need that right now.
I do. Okay. Can't really do much about that. Yeah, I'm going to take it all.
I'm going to decline Croesus' trigger.
So that's
discard your 1 card.
10 damage?
10.
I'm at 17.
You're go.
Untap. On upkeep, I do control an artifact with 6.
Yep.
There it is. There's my card. Okay, Shivan Reef. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. And yes, I do have 3 red. I'm going to play Saheeli's Directive for 8. It has Improvise.
I'm going to show you Spelljack.
What does it do?
I'm going to counter your spell, and then I get it, and I can play it for the rest of the game. Let's just leave it.
Well, that's fun. So something that I'm curious about that I don't know is when I've cast a spell, I know there are a ton of interactions like, you know, when Walking Ballista was in Standard and stuff like that, where you determine the mana cost of an X spell as you cast it. So if something says convert a mana cost X or whatever. So in this case, do you need to cast it for 11?
No. I can now cast this later on as if it were part of my hand.
And if you're totally wrong about this, are you willing to let people in the comments destroy you?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So Saheeli's Directive has been countered. I have my 1/1 who targets artifacts in the graveyard, which is none. And I've got Padim, Council of Innovation, who interacts with stuff on my upkeep. So now we get to give you an entire turn to deal 17 damage. Pass the turn.
Untap. Draw a card. Let me exile.
Exile. You get Blinkmoth Urn.
Not needed. Good for your deck, but not needed for mine. Let's drop Ash Barrens. You have 1 card in hand?
I got 1 card in hand.
I like where this is going, so I'm going to go ahead and spend 7. and I'm going to play Mind's Dilation.
I love this card.
An opponent casts a spell for the first time, they exile the top of their library, and if it's a non-land, I can cast it without paying its mana cost.
I tried so hard to make this card work in Standard. When my Emrakul deck got banned, I replaced them with a bunch of Mind's Dilations, and I'm like, this will be great!
Yeah, I think about 10 people at our shop really wanted to make this 7-mana do-nothing enchantment go.
Yeah, it's not happening in Standard, but in Commander, it's like a staple now.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Anyway.
Especially in a deck that runs formats like this, or not runs.
Yeah, where you're just taking all of my cards. Like, is Thievery...
I seem to be getting all of them against you, so I apologize about that.
Yeah, we did choose our opening hands, but we didn't stack this deck.
Those weren't in them. They're just coming off the top. This just wants to blue you out. So.
When you were building this deck, were you planning to just be hard control and interact with my deck, or...?
Well, actually, this deck was built specifically to be like, I want everybody to discard their hands, to have nobody have cards. And so it just morphed into being just what Nicol Bolas wants to do and take people's stuff.
And I imagine all of the Nicol Bolas Planeswalkers.
Almost all of them. I have a general rule where if it's a rare and it's in the Standard format, I try not to put it in my EDH decks.
That's wise.
Because I hate to have to hunt for things. And
it'll come to you eventually. And these players need 4 of them. And eventually when they dump them off, they'll have 4 to give away to us.
True.
I think that it's cool that you're playing one of the originals. And here it is, just so everyone can see it. But Elder Dragon Highlander, Nicol Bolas is an Elder Dragon. He was one of the original 5 choices that you could have. We're going to go off on this tangent for a second.
Up to.
It's almost like these 3-card combinations. I think they were the shards.
Correct.
Are one of the most perfect ways to build a commander deck, because you have enough tools, but you're also limited. So you're saying, I don't get access to green, but I still have enough here.
Yeah, I think that the 4-color commanders that they came out with in 2016, 15, something like that. Fix it in post.
I'm not fixing that.
those commanders were designed incredibly well, but I think that having 4 colors for a commander deck is like just one is going to be a weird splash-ish, and you're still going to be running a 3-color core, and you haven't gone quite to like the Sliver Overlord where like your mana base is going to be $400. And I have that deck, but
that's everyone has seen my Joda deck at this point. That's pretty much what it is. Even without the 3 most expensive fetch lands, that stuff is crazy expensive.
3-color is like sort of the pinnacle of what Magic does really, really well.
Because you can do that with basic lands and not be too far off.
Yeah. Absolutely true. Now I'm going to move to combat.
Oh, great.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to swing with everything.
All right. How much damage are we looking at?
We're looking at...
It's like
10,
16,
14, 15,
18?
16, 17, 18.
And I'm at 17, so I'm going to put Padim from one of the 2/1 mirrors. Okay, so I am now at 1 life. Okay, so that is the entire deck. Nicol Bolas, the original, not even Nicol Bolas, the anything. When we come back, we're going to be talking about your deck. I didn't mention this earlier, but the Basic Land Band is back, joined by our good friend Nick Pangaris once more. That's pretty exciting to you, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
When you walk through the garden, gotta watch your back. Gotta find my low. Gonna keep you on track.
4, 5, 6, 7, grab your umbrella. Grab a hold of me, cause I'm your favorite fella. All I got inside is vacancy.
We are back. We are sitting with Matt Ricker. We're talking about his Nicol Bolas tribal Vorthosy control-y nasty deck that steals your cards because you suck. So tell me what your plan was when you started building this deck. Nicol Bolas, the commander. Let's see him.
Yeah, Nicol Bolas, the commander, was the idea. And it initially started with cards that made people discard their entire hand. Wit's End got cut out of the deck very, very late. But that was sort of the distillation of what I wanted the deck to be. And in playing it as a discard deck, or everybody discards their hand deck, it didn't perform all the things that I wanted it to. So I broadened it out into playing other people's cards and taking other people's stuff.
And that's not necessarily a mechanic that you can, search up. So this requires a vast knowledge of Magic cards.
Yes.
Some old ones that I haven't seen ever. So let's start with whatever strategy is this column.
This column would be some of your more aggressive discard cards. Sire of Insanity at the beginning of each of your end steps. Each player discards their entire hand. Keeps the table down, everybody equally. This deck is often, people see Nicol Bolas by himself, they don't take him very seriously.
Yeah, for real.
As a commander. And I don't plan on casting him. He's what I can cast if things have gone wrong or if things have gone extremely long. This deck will not hold up against any EDH deck.
Okay.
But at a table with 3 other people that are all playing at about the equal power level, it can hang because it's going to be playing everyone else's decks.
Which is, as far as the levels go, we go by Commander's Quarters, which is jank, casual, focused, optimized, and competitive.
This would probably be a focused deck.
Focused.
But it's focused on messing with the other table. It may play in a Grixis theme more of like the Chaos deck of just making random stuff happen. You're making very random stuff happen for you.
And what I like about this deck is you're reaching out from your board and you're tickling everyone else. Instead of just trying to build your engine like I was doing with Brutaclad and creating a bunch of tokens, you're like, hey, what do you got going over here?
Yeah. So we got Liliana Vess as a Planeswalker. She's got 2 modes on her that I really care about. Target player discards a card so I can clean up anybody who's trying to get an extra card advantage over me that I don't have. And I can search my library for particularly powerful cards that are going to affect the situation that I find on the board. Mind Slicer is a 4-mana 4/3 horror. When it dies, each player discards their hand, which means people leave you alone in combat. If you can block it with Mind Slicer, they're not coming at you.
And just a 4-mana 4/3 that is not going to die.
I think that discarding your hand is probably the most brutal thing that can happen in
It's like
Commander.
worse than a Death Touch creature sitting over there.
It's worse than going to 10 life off a Magister Sphinx of losing your hand. So when you have, you can hold the gun to your own throat or knife to your own throat.
Yeah.
With the Mind Slicer and say, don't attack me or I'll throw it down the hole, and everyone will discard their hands. It's an incredible deterrent.
I'm the sort of person that does a turn 2 windfall.
Yeah.
We're like, you kept that hand after a mulligan? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No more for you.
Nope. And then Croesus the Purger is a flying threat. It lets me target people who have problematic colors for this deck, or people who are playing mono, I'm sorry. At least it's not an Emeria. Then moving on to the next column, you have cards that specifically just let you play other people's stuff.
And I see a lot of new cards here.
There are quite a few ones. They're playing with it more often, and it's something that I think that red you see and black and blue are flirting with. Itali, Primal Storm, another good beater that lets me play up to 3 free cards from everyone, 4 cards from everybody's deck, 1 from mine as well. Kero Mind Eater came out in Commander earlier. Kero Mind Eater's a menace vampire 1/3, but whenever it deals combat damage to a player, they exile the top of their library face down, and you may look at it and play cards. Exiled with her, Gonti. Most people know what Gonti does. He's very, very recent, but it comes into play. You look through the top 4 of their deck. You take whichever one you want. You can play it for rainbow mana whenever you want. And then Grinzo is a nice little creature, 2-mana 2/2. And whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, so any of my creatures deals combat to a player, I can go to a creature that they control, which means that creature has to attack, but not me.
Okay.
Or I can have them exile the top card of their library, and I can play it until end of turn. Until end of turn you may play.
Reading the card explains the card.
Yeah. And then the last thing is just straight up taking specific things. In the gameplay video you saw Spelljack. We have Desertion, which is another counter spell, and if it's an artifact or creature, I get it instead of the person I countered.
And maybe I'm just an inexperienced player, but I've never been countered with either of those. Those are so nasty.
Yeah.
Like, you took my commander. I can't deal with that.
Yeah, so many decks can't. So if you just it changed zones, but it's on the battlefield under my control now.
I was in blue and I couldn't deal with that.
Treachery.
Okay.
It's a very expensive card because it is on the reserved list. It's $25 right now, but it's instead of 4 mana for an enchant creature that you my control a creature that's already out on the board for one more colorless mana, I'll search your deck and take whatever card I want that's a creature. So good for if you're playing against somebody that is very spiky and has some very powerful CEDH cards. Ulamogs, Blightsteel Colossuses. I'll just take those for fun.
Kozilek.
Wherever it is in your deck, I'll find it. So point it at the spikiest person in your group and then have fun. Blatant Thievery, this deck necessarily works best at a commander table with 4 people. It's not a dual deck. Even though we set it up like that, it would flounder in most games as a dueling deck. But at a table, Blatant Thievery, I can guarantee that I'll get 2-3 permanents from everybody else.
Okay.
And then Silumgar, Dragon Lord Silumgar, comes in, flying, death touch 3/5. I take a planeswalker or a creature until I lose control of Dragon Lord Silumgar. So
now this is one of the fastest deck techs we've ever done. I want to ask you a couple of questions about budget.
Sure.
So right there, even on the bottom of that deck, I see a Demonic Tutor. You know, what cards in this deck would you say you can't really run it without they are worth the money?
Chromatic Lantern. Chromatic Lantern right now is in standard.
Yeah.
You can get them as cheaply as they are going to be. And
that is a really good answer because it's like a $4 card right now.
Buy them all.
I was expecting you to say something that's like $70 or something, but yeah, no. Chromatic Lantern for however many decks you want to have, you should probably own a Chromatic Lantern. It's always fun to have you on the show.
Thank you.
I haven't gotten to play Commander against you in forever, and it's fun to do this play test on screen for the folks at home. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to give it away to the Basic Land Band one more time with Nick Pangaris. This is going to be a very different period in the show where we're figuring some stuff out, getting ambitious, and trying new things, and course correcting when maybe those things don't go so well. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.
And with that, our show is coming to a close, but I'd really appreciate if you left some feedback for this new content creator. So comment below to let them know what you liked and maybe what could be improved on. And make sure that you follow us on social media so you can get some early hints on who the next commander just might be. Links to our social media accounts can be found in the description. Also in the description below is a link to the Commander's Quarters Patreon page, and I just want to say a quick thank you to the patrons who have subscribed so far. There are many benefits to being a patron for the Commander's Quarters, including being able to vote on future commanders for deck techs. There's even a general level tier where you get your own personalized deck tech dedicated to you. I truly couldn't do this without all of your support, so from the bottom of my heart, thank you. If you haven't already, make sure that you like and subscribe to this content creator, and be on the lookout for future episodes from them on their channel. And with that, I'm out of here. Thanks again, and have a good one.